One of the hottest topics in the business world, right? Not just ours, just in the business world in general, is closing. Closing. How do you close more deals? What are the tips? What are the best of the best saying? How did they close that deal? I always find it fascinating, especially in our business, that when I will talk to someone who's, literally a number, top 10, top 15 for sales in the company publisher, I'm like, hey, just out of curiosity, like how close are you to the scripts? Like, are you 100% you use the BVM scripts? Is it like 20%? And every single time, batting 1,000, it's some version of like 97%. They're like, I forget a few words sometimes, but they have like the 5 buying questions down, things like that. So, anyways, that's sort of a side topic there, but closing in general. So this closing tip was requested by the people is I think a little bit different maybe than a lot of the things that we hear or talk about when it comes to closing. And the tip for closing, having a high percentage of hitting 20% closing, we know 20 is based on 6 small, 6 medium, and 3 large per week, is to actually have a beginning, middle, and end. That sounds kind of weird, right? To have a beginning, middle, and end, but it is super important. I have this document I was playing around with. Yeah, I call it working on it. It's called the anatomy of a sale, right? There you go, anatomy of a sale, and it's got a beginning, middle, and end. Oftentimes, it's easy to go. They give an objection, or customer comes in. You kind of fall off this line, and then our job as a publisher is to bring it back and keep it moving steadily towards the end. So that's beginning, middle, beginning in our business, all scripted out, which is nice, right? We already have the words designed for us. We don't have to guess at what a good beginning is. Appreciate getting this time with you, understand what it's like to run a business. You guys know that part. If you don't know it, go and look at the talking points, grab them. Now the middle is interesting to me because it's very educational. We have a lot of information and education in our presentation. So I think one of the key components of the middle part of what we do, which is the slideshow, the publication tour, is to be like a teacher in a sense. If you look at some of our top publishers, like a Kathy Duran, sold over what, 1 million for the last 10 years straight, something like that. And she was a third-grade teacher before, right? So what are some traits? We have some other people that come from an educational background, Melissa Cook as well. Why are teachers, seem to do well with us? Well, they're organized because they develop a lesson plan consistently. They plan things out, so they have a sense of organization and a calendar that they work off of, and they also share information in like a neutral, positive way, right? They're sharing it as they're guiding the classroom, the students' minds towards certain information. That's really what we're doing. We want to say no more or no less than what is to be conveyed on each slide, the essence, as I like to say, of each slide, right? So we don't want to say any more or any less. If we say too much, that can just bore someone, or their brain starts to get distracted. So there's a level of focus and intention that comes to giving the proper amount of information on a slide. We don't want to say too little though, although less is very much more. If I were to pick, should I over talk or under talk? I would definitely say under talk on the slides, because then at least they can ask questions, and then you go, oh, and you can share. Whereas if we over talk, we've just lost their attention. So we want to be right here, not here, not here, just boom, perfect, right in the middle. And then the end. The end involves asking for the order, asking for referrals. There's different ways to do things that obviously lead to better results. When it comes to referrals, you can say yes or no, things like, hey, do you know some people? And they could say no, right? So there's definitely a systematic approach to conversation communication that gets better outcomes, such as having a piece of paper and sliding it over and saying, hey, one of the most challenging things for me is to get in front of great people like yourself. While I'm cleaning things up here, who might that I could introduce this to, right? That's way better than who do you know that I can call and try to sell this to? Do you know anybody? So there's a language and words that definitely matter. On the close, ours is pretty straightforward. I wouldn't be doing my job. It's also super nice and amazing. I love our close. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't at least ask, would you like to go ahead and get started? XYZ is the blank today. So beginning, middle, and end. Beginning is warming up, but showing them you're a professional. And the middle is being effective with communication and information. Close, or the end is the close and asking for the order. That's why we went there. We have to do that. We don't have to, it's a choice, but you definitely should if you want to close more. The second part of this, I'll talk real quick about is urgency. Also, always a trending topic in sales and business. How do I create urgency? Now, I read a lot. This is an interesting book that I like right now. It's called Alchemy. It's by a guy named Rory Sutherland. He is the vice chairman of Ogilvy. Ogilvy is one of the biggest advertising agencies on the planet, or most famous, just really successful, well-known advertising agency called Ogilvy. A couple of the other books here by the founders. But what's interesting about that is, all these behavioral experiments that they have in like direct marketing and copywriting, words like that, that there are these behavioral things that are super interesting to create artificial urgency to help people act and buy now. So there's an element of that where you can use a first appointment incentive, for example, what we call the first appointment discount. You can let people know, hey, in fact, that's not really, I wouldn't call that artificial, but it's a lever or a tool that creates urgency. That's a better way of putting that. Or something like, if you're operating on a deadline. I love doing appointments on deadline day or the day before, because I let them know, hey, today's actually the deadline for the publication. So really we can reserve your spot, and we'll have a couple days to work on the ad side and everything. Just that simple statement is enough urgency sometimes to help people go, oh yeah, let's do this now, right? But when I think of urgency overall in life, it's a few things. There's an energetic component to that. And I mean that in a sense of when anybody, right, is consistently getting 3 yeses, it builds a certain energy. When we're on the phone having challenging conversations, when we're doing things that require effort, our energy actually builds. We get excellent energy from getting 3 yeses and going to appointments. So you bring that into your meetings, right? When you have 3 appointments, there's a sense of effectiveness and what's the word I'm looking for? A sense of now. It's not really what I was looking for, but it works in terms of we bring that into our appointments because we have more appointments to go to, right? Like when you have a full schedule, that's why they have that phrase, when you want something done, give it to a busy person. And so I'm not a fan of the term busy, but you do that because they'll get it done and they'll make it happen now. So there's this energetic component of when we put in effort and have activity, there's a certain energy that comes with making things happen now. The second part of that is simply language and thinking, right? That's technically 2 more parts, but you hear someone like Lindsay Stafford on the Publisher Luncheon yesterday talk about mindset a lot, right? And a sense of urgency comes with that. So just simply as part of our getting our head right practice, asking ourselves, how do I make these things happen now, right? And that will convey onto the people we're sitting across from, not in a sense that we have to push anybody or apply pressure. I'm a big fan of the, belief that you can pull people right along with you when you're moving at a certain speed or working with business owners, but you can't really push or put pressure on them. That doesn't build great relationships, but questions, right? Even just asking, our closing question in itself has a sense of built-in urgency. You also have to believe and understand people do make decisions on the spot. Very, very common. Some people don't, sure. Some people will try it, absolutely. So we just have to believe that, because some of us might be people that don't make a lot of decisions right away, that like to sit and think about things, but we can, again, I won't say can't, but it's not fair for us to project our own beliefs or processes on other. Well, gosh, I take a few days to make decisions on things, especially if I'm going to spend $20,000-$30,000 on it. So, it totally makes sense if everybody I meet with, and I'm being a little bit dramatic here, obviously, if everybody I meet with needs to take 2 or 3 days. Not saying anybody's doing that, just an example of how our mindset can delay things and actually have a counter effect of urgency versus, if I'm thinking, how do I develop urgency in my own thinking and action? I am going to carry that belief of it's a very simple decision to purchase a campaign with us, right? It may not be easy, but it's very simple. And the simple things I need to ask myself, did the business owner get these three things? Or is this an important market? If it's an important market, great. Guess what? Then we go into the educational part. Second part is, does this media make sense? Do they understand what we do and why we do it? I'm not trying to oversell and say they should never do any other marketing. This is the only thing they need to do. It's not part of our presentation at all, right? It's the best way, though, to reach this specific group of people. So I need them to understand that so that they can decide on the third thing, which is how much are we spending? What's an investment that makes sense for them, whether it's right now, in a couple months. Start with what's doable or comfortable or makes sense. You can always go up later, right? So these things are important. It's really a simple decision in terms of urgency on a first appointment. It is important market. Do they understand the media? How much are we spending? There we go. Hope that helps. Closing and urgency tips. Have fun. Let's keep up the great work.